Tunnels are something so inextricably linked to our world that we sometimes forget how long they have existed. After all, not only do people dig tunnels to overcome obstacles, many kinds of animals build tunnels to create homes away from the sun or to hide quickly from enemies. As for people, we dig tunnels to surmount certain natural barriers, such as mountains, or to lay a route around or beneath something that cannot be crossed in the usual way. Yet, when such an enormous amount of earth is moved, sooner or later, a moment arises when someone unexpectedly stumbles upon something unusual. And for some people, this becomes a truly strange discovery. Today, I will show you 20 frightening things captured in tunnels. The Paris catacombs are one of the most famous places people go to for a thrill. These underground structures appeared in the 18th century when the city faced the problem of overcrowded cemeteries. A solution was found. The remains were moved underground into huge tunnels now known as the catacombs. Today, the remains of more than 6 million people rest there. Not all tunnels are open to visitors, yet many people enter the catacombs illegally in search of excitement. Strange and eerie things have been discovered in these places, but their authenticity is often questioned. The Williamson tunnels in Liverpool are among the most mysterious constructions. They were created by the wealthy entrepreneur Joseph Williamson in the 19th century. He bought a plot of land and began building houses, and beneath them a branching network of tunnels. No one still knows why he did this. Archaeologists continue their research, trying to uncover the secret of these structures. The tunnels are so enigmatic that they were used in one season of the series Doctor Who as a place where one can travel through time and space. Let us move to Mexico, where the Cave of the Giant Crystals is located. This unique place lies several hundred meters underground and is filled with gigantic selenite crystals. These crystals are among the largest in the world. The cave attracts researchers from all over the globe, but it is so hot that one can stay inside only in special suits and for a limited time. It is no secret that the illegal drug trade uses a wide variety of methods to deliver goods, including tunnels. In particular, Mexican cartels are known for building tunnels that connect Mexico and the United States. These tunnels can reach hundreds of meters in length and remain unnoticed until they exhaust their usefulness and are abandoned. Many of them are equipped with ventilation and lighting systems. There are people in the world who live in underground caves and tunnels, and China is one example. These people, called cave dwellers, have chosen such a life for various reasons: cultural, historical, or economic. Living under such conditions requires great effort to provide oneself with food and water, as well as to create coziness and comfort. At first glance, it may seem that there is nothing to fear in a tunnel, for they are usually dug either by people or by animals, and inside, one can find only earth and stones. But the Earth's surface is merely one of the layers of earth and rock that formed over millions of years. If one begins removing these layers, one can see traces of history that formed the foundation beneath our feet. This means that if one digs deep enough, one can find artifacts dating back to the Ice Age. And this is no joke. In the year 2017, under Montreal in Canada, a cave connected with the Saint Leonard Cave was discovered. For a long time, people had known about this place, where one could descend underground and see beautiful subterranean caves. One of the passages stretched about 15 meters. However, during work carried out in the limestone wall, researchers opened an entirely new space. According to their estimates, the age of this cave is about 15,000 years. When the cave was first found, it was possible to go only about 200 meters, because they encountered an aquifer and continued by canoe. At that time, they did not even know where the cave ended. It was not the largest cave, and only a few people could enter the tunnel at once. Yet by all indications, it was a natural formation created thousands of years ago. One of the discoverers emphasized that it was a significant find. And it is not surprising, for everything connected with the Ice Age possesses enormous historical value. Moreover, if there are finds in this tunnel that can tell about unknown pages of history, this adds even greater significance to the discovery. What is frightening here is that the tunnel lay literally beneath people's feet for many years and was discovered by chance. As already mentioned, tunnel construction is an ancient art practiced by many civilizations, including modern ones. During the Second World War, Germany actively used tunnels and underground shelters. For example, in Bavaria, there was an underground complex consisting of apartments and numerous rooms intended for members of the top leadership of the Nazi Party. The complex included the so-called Eagle's Nest, which served as a kind of refuge for their leader. Originally, these tunnels were built as shelters in case of attack, but over time, they became the last possible refuge to which one could retreat in the event of defeat in the war. This story concerns finds that impress by their quantity. In the Mexican city of Teotihuacan, popular among archaeologists, amazing discoveries occur almost every year. In the year 2014, during excavations at one of the city's sacred sites, archaeologists discovered an ancient tunnel. To avoid damaging artifacts, researchers used robots that helped them get inside. When the tunnel was fully explored, about 50,000 objects were found there, which was a unique case. Usually, archaeologists rejoice at finding a few dozen bones or fragments, but here, the number of artifacts found was truly astounding. It is believed that the tunnel led to royal tombs, and that is why there were so many items. Let us talk about how animals build tunnels. Ants are masters of their craft, creating complex systems of passages connecting different parts of their colonies. In Brazil, a gigantic ant hill was found in which millions of ants could live. Ant colonies are real underground cities that, in complexity and durability, can serve as an example for people. One of the reasons tunnel discoveries are so fascinating is that they make one wonder, what does it mean? For example, in Warsaw, the capital of Poland, during work on the site of the former Saxon palace, a tunnel was discovered that went deep underground, about 4 meters down, and then went even deeper. This fact surprised specialists, since none of the palace plans contained any indication of this tunnel. This meant the tunnel had been built and carefully concealed so that no one would know of its existence except those who built it. After further research, it turned out that the palace, destroyed during the Second World War, had been the headquarters of the Polish army. The tunnel was used to transmit messages inside the building and beyond, and it was built in the 1930s specifically for military intelligence. Its length was about 45 meters, and the bricks for its construction were supplied by a local brickworks, as evidenced by markings on them. Thus, the tunnel was not merely there. It had a clear purpose. What is frightening is that a key part of the structure was almost lost because of the events of the Second World War. Now let us talk about another strange find discovered in a tunnel that caused anxiety and much discussion. In this case, people descended into a sewer tunnel and came upon something that resembled neither human nor animal. The video became viral and sparked many questions. What was it? Yet it is worth noting two key points. First, the camera movement in the video changes sharply. At first, the camera moves naturally, then it becomes completely still. This is a clear sign of editing, when the recording was stopped to add special effects. Second, it later became known that the video was staged and was part of a campaign by United Utilities. The company used this clip to remind people that they should be careful about what they flush into the sewer. It is a kind of warning that negligence can lead to unpleasant consequences. This story tells of an urban explorer who, while studying an underground tunnel, came across something strange. In the video, one can see a person walking through the tunnel and noticing two creatures watching him from afar. What is frightening is that there were two of them, which made the event even creepier. However, if one looks more closely, it becomes clear that the recording is edited to create an illusion. The camera suddenly freezes, and a monster appears. In large cities, especially such as San Francisco, legends always circulate around tunnels. People ask, who built these tunnels? What is inside them? Why are they so long? These questions arouse interest and the desire to explore them. Thus, the young photographer Sierra Hartman, having moved to San Francisco, began taking night photographs of city streets. One night he came across an open manhole, which led to his first descent beneath the city streets. This event ignited in him a passion for urban exploration, and since then he has investigated various underground tunnels, finding entrances and taking photographs of dark, abandoned sections. What makes the tunnels of San Francisco even more frightening is their practical necessity. They are needed not for entertainment or research, but to ensure that waste and other materials pass through them without obstruction. If these tunnels become clogged, the consequences can be truly terrifying. Although I tried to avoid the supernatural, we cannot escape the discussion of ghosts. In Japan, a group of people examined an old Second World War tunnel for radiation leaks, and it is claimed saw a ghost. This tunnel went 500 meters deep, but if one looks closely at the video, one can see that everything coincides too perfectly. The camera begins to malfunction at the very moment the ghost appears, and the apparition itself seems to beckon people to come closer. Obviously, this is a fake, which underscores the need for caution when perceiving information on the internet. Let us move to the Great Pyramids of Egypt, specifically to the Pyramid of Khufu, which has been the object of close attention from scientists for many years. These gigantic structures embody the engineering mastery of the ancient Egyptians and harbor many mysteries. In the year 2016, a sensational discovery was made. A hidden tunnel was found in the pyramid. For a long time, researchers lacked the equipment to look inside, but later, they managed to obtain images of its interior. The question remains open. What was this tunnel used for? And if it exists in one pyramid, why is it not found in others? Now, a small digression on safety. It can be difficult to distinguish an ordinary hole in the ground from a tunnel built by animals. One example may be snakes. These reptiles often dig tunnels and burrows to hide from predators or to survive the heat. Such burrows are found not only in forests, but also in gardens or household plots. Snake burrows usually have a circular shape and vary in size. If you discover such holes and suspect that it may be a snake's lair, it is better to seek help from a specialist. Now we move on to more frightening finds. Imagine you are walking through an underground tunnel and suddenly find a human body, but only part of it, without the head. This may seem like a scene from a horror film, but something similar really happened in Idaho about 40 years ago. The people who discovered this torso were stunned and began an investigation to establish the identity of the deceased. Only thanks to modern DNA methods decades later, it was determined that the body belonged to an escaped convict who had murdered his wife. The family of this man was informed of his fate, but the question of who killed him remained unresolved. In Guff's Cave in the United Kingdom, remains were found that testify to cannibalism. The people who lived in this cave not only ate their kin, but also made cups out of skulls. This reminds us of the cruelty and extreme desperation to which ancient people could resort. In the year 2003, a group of archaeologists working in a cave in Indonesia came across human remains that aroused curiosity. On the basis of the bones found, scientists determined that they belonged to an adult Homo sapiens, but with one important feature: the height of these people did not exceed 1 meter. These beings were nicknamed hobbits because of their small stature. This discovery stirred the scientific community, as it called into question many established ideas about human development. At first, it was thought that the small height was the result of disease, but later it became clear that this was the natural condition of that species. They were given a scientific name, and a theory appeared that these people died out, because they could not cope with the harsh environmental conditions. Look at this picture and try to explain what you see. Perhaps you think you are looking at aliens? Yes, I thought so too at first, preparing for a loud statement. After all, aliens have not been found in tunnels, even if the headline of the photograph reads, "What scientists discovered in a tunnel in the United States shocked them." However, after reading the story related to this image and becoming slightly irritated by poor grammar, for scientists do not make discoveries in tunnels, I found out that the photo shows skeletons found in a tunnel in New York. To which I will say, skeletons are just bones, are they not? Let us set this aside and move on to a more important question. Were bodies really discovered in a New York tunnel? Of course, it is hard to say for certain, but I would suppose it is unlikely, or at least the bodies did not look as they do in that photograph. If bodies had indeed been found in such a state, it would have been cause for a large-scale investigation to understand what happened. One should not forget that there are communities of people who live in tunnels for various reasons. For example, beneath Las Vegas, there is an entire community living in tunnels because it is cheaper than living in the city. Nevertheless, I doubt that the skeletons shown in the photo were found exactly in that form. If anyone had stumbled upon such a find, it would have led to a massive investigation. In the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region in China, archaeologists discovered an ancient city whose age is measured in thousands of years. This discovery became a true sensation, for during the excavations underground, tunnels dating back approximately 4,500 years were also found. Research showed that the city was surrounded by a complex system of defensive structures, including high walls and fortifications. The tunnels were apparently part of the defensive network and were used by inhabitants for shelter or for evacuation in case of attack. 5 years of research allowed scholars to understand that the tunnels were an important part of the defense and testify to the high level of development of that ancient civilization. These finds give us an idea of what frightening and unexpected things can be discovered in tunnels all over the world. Each story, from glacial caves to eerie remains and ancient artifacts, reminds us that Underground One can find not only the mysteries of nature, but also traces of our own history. Tunnels, which originally served different purposes, be it defense, exploration, construction, or even criminal activity, have become places where evidence of our past is found. This past can be amazing, frightening, and even incredible. Were you surprised by some of these stories? Which discovery seemed the most terrifying to you? Perhaps you know of other unusual finds in tunnels that I did not mention? Tell us about them in the comments.